Louise Looks is back, but virtually, of course, because everything kind of is at the moment, isn't it? But in today's episode, I have a delve into the awesome app Olio. Now, Olio is an app that's counteracting waste. It connects local neighbours and local businesses together, whilst also paving the way for a greener environment. It's also got over 2 million users in over 50 countries as well, which is absolutely amazing. So I was lucky enough to catch up with co-founder Tessa Clarke, and we have a little delve into how the app works and how they're making the world just that little bit more greener. Check it out. Hey, it's Louise Schofield. I'm now joined with Tessa Clarke, co-founder of the amazing app Olio. Thank you so much for joining me, Tessa.
No worries, good to be here.
Yeah, how's lockdown been treating you? How's it been?
It has been a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. Gosh, I can't even sort of take my mind back to the beginning, but the key thing is I'm still smiling. We've sort of made it through. Glad that homeschooling is done for now, and everything's going actually sort of amazingly well for Olio as a result of lockdown, which has been an unexpected positive.
Absolutely. I mean, I have just seen, because I got your newsletter, because I've got your app, and your TV advert is now available. That's fantastic.
So exciting. Our first TV ad. So sharing on Olio has just basically kind of gone absolutely crazy since lockdown. And so we're kind of making the most of that, really, to spread the word about Olio and our whole kind of community spirit and the power of sharing. And also media is much cheaper, so we could sort of buy it for a fraction of the cost. So we're like, why not? Let's go for it and give it a go.
That's it. But the app itself is just fantastic. You know, you're exercising sustainability, you're counteracting waste, you're connecting neighbours and local businesses. It's just an all-round fantastic app, and I've started to get involved with it as well.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Ah, stop it. So how can you just tell us a little bit about the app and how it kind of works, and for people that might not know how it kind of all goes down?
Yeah, so Olio is an app that exists to tackle the problem of food waste, but also waste more broadly in the home. And so how it works is you just snap a photo of anything you've got you don't want or need. You then add it to the app. Neighbours living nearby get an alert, let them know something new has been added near them. They can browse the listings, pop around and pick it up. So it's all about connecting people with their immediate local community to make sure that things of value, both food and other things, don't get thrown away.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I've just had a look about my area, because I'm North London, which is actually where it launched, isn't it? North London at the beginning, the 5 postcodes.
Yeah, so it's amazing to think that we kind of started really, really small, as you say, sort of 5 years ago in 5 postcodes in North London. And today it's unbelievable. We're a global community now of over 2 million people in over 50 countries.
That's incredible. Did you kind of see it going sort of that quickly? Because it's been running sort of, is it 4 years that Olio's been going for?
So Sasha, my co-founder, and I have been working on Olio for 5 years now, but the app has been available for 4 years.
Yeah.
So and did we imagine this? We hoped for this for sure, because we'd done all the research about the problem of food waste. It absolutely blew our brains, and we knew that we had to get Olio to be honest, hundreds of millions or billions of people as quickly as possible if we're to stand any chance whatsoever of mitigating the worst effects of the climate crisis. So we'd always sort of dreamt very big, but we knew that we had to start extremely small.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's grown so fast. I mean, I love the phrase Tinder for tins. That is just fantastic. I love that. Has there been people that have kind of met people through Olio and kind of started a relationship or anything like that?
We have had plenty of that, yes. We haven't yet had an Olio marriage, but we've definitely had lots of people kind of move in with each other, for sure.
Incredible. I mean, one day it's coming, hopefully, an Olio wedding. You'll be there, hopefully.
I most definitely will, with my finest hat.
So how has COVID kind of affected Olio? Has it kind of affected it in any way, or has there been sort of ways around it?
COVID has impacted Olio massively. So in the first 24 to 48 hours of lockdown, it was not at all clear that a neighbour-to-neighbour food sharing app could continue to exist. So it was a pretty tense period of time. We worked really closely with our food safety lawyer, the environmental health officer, and also we talked to our community. And what we heard from them loud and clear was that we had a responsibility to make sure that Olio continued through lockdown, because there were so many people who were depending upon Olio to access food and other essential household items at a time when perhaps they couldn't go into shops because they were shielding, or perhaps they were healthcare workers who were kind of working antisocial hours. And so Olio was providing for many people a lifeline in terms of access to these essential items. And so we basically pivoted the model so that all pickups now are what we call a no contact pickup. So what that means is you leave the item outside just a few minutes before the person who's due to pick it up arrives.
Yeah.
And that's just gone really, really seamlessly. And for the first, I'd say, sort of 10 days after lockdown, we saw about a 25% drop in the amount of sharing happening. But then from early April onwards, the growth has just been stratospheric. It has been amazing. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. So first of all, you only need to see a few photos of empty supermarket shelves to suddenly realize food is precious. Food is quite literally our life source. And so that has made a lot of people really think twice before throwing something in the bin. And then alongside that, I think we've had a national awakening as to the horrifically unequal society that we have. And we've woken up to realize just how many people are going to bed hungry in this country. So the Food Foundation released some research showing that 1.5 million people were going hungry every day during the height of COVID. And so that has, I think, prompted people to think, well, what have I got in my cupboards and in my drawers that I don't need, that a neighbour might want? And then the third thing has been just this resurgence of all things local, all things community. And Olio is all about that. And so all of those factors have come together to mean that we're busier than we've ever been before. And we've sort of grown more in the past 5 weeks than we did in the previous 5 years, which has just been amazing.
It's great that can happen, because it is bringing that community spirit, like you said, and I think it's so important, especially through a pandemic. You need that community spirit. But I was having a little read of some of your users and what they've been saying about it, and it's great how they've kind of jumped on board with it. And some of them have been saying, you know, we've rewired ourselves to understand how important it is to kind of share, and kind of then passing on to their family and friends. So it's becoming like a nice little thing where people are learning and growing together and kind of teaching people.
We hear the whole time people telling us that Olio is, you know, it's restored my faith in humanity. It's this sort of beacon of light in these times of darkness, you know, really sort of powerful things. But it's true. And what I've also noticed happened during the pandemic is we have a section in the app called the Forum.
Yeah.
And so many people now are kind of going on there and they're posting just thank yous to their neighbours and showing them what they created with the items they picked up, or how their kids have really benefited from having a bike for the first time. You know, just so many amazing, heartwarming stories. And so it's a really important part of my day, actually. Just it's kind of a pick me up. You can go in there and know that you're going to read something amazing that makes you think, do you know what? The world isn't that bad. Exactly. There's so many good people out there just trying to sort of get by day. And through helping and supporting each other, we're all kind of building the type of world that we want to live in.
Well, that's it. And you've got like sort of volunteers that help out with Olio as well. And is there different kind of roles? Because I noticed on the website there's quite a few different roles that you could do. It looks fantastic.
There are, yeah. So from the very earliest of days, we've been overwhelmed with support and by people reaching out and saying, how can I help? And so we've got a couple of different roles. So one role is to be an ambassador, and that's really about just helping to spread the word about Olio in your local community. And you can either do that digitally, so we'll send you lots of stuff for you to share online, or you can order or print off posters and letters and flyers for you to kind of distribute in your local community. So we've got the ambassadors who are spreading the word, and then we've got another type of volunteer who are called food waste heroes. And they are caped superheroes who are going to their local business at the end of the day. They're taking all their unsold food, they're taking it home, adding it to the app, and then redistributing it to the local community. And we now have 10,000 trained volunteers there redistributing from hundreds and hundreds of stores every week. So they're doing an incredible job making sure that good food is eaten, not thrown away.
Yeah, and it's fantastic that you were saying that even the activities, like the non kind of food stuff as well, especially in lockdown, like giving people toys and giving people bikes and things that really make you get outside and, be together, which I think is really nice as well. Because your kind of background is you grew up on a farm, didn't you? So is that kind of like, because you've obviously seen the food process from beginning to end when you're kind of in that process. So were they the kind of foundations that you took when you were going to create this app?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up on a farm with not much money. And so I think the values that were instilled in me when I was a kid are now very much reflected in what Olio is. So when I was a kid, I grew up with the words waste not, want not, just ringing in my ear. So nothing was ever wasted. We were always very sort of resourceful, very savvy. And also we lived as part of a small local community where everybody knew each other, everybody helped each other out. So at harvest time, for example, it was all hands to the deck and everyone would help and support each other.
Yeah.
And many people aren't lucky enough to be brought up in that kind of environment. I think increasingly we're living in cities, we don't know who our neighbours are, and it's very easy to feel very isolated. And actually technology, which in theory sort of means that we're more connected than ever before, the sad side effect is that actually I think in many ways we're lonelier than we've ever been before. And so what Olio is trying to do is just bring back those real life connections. And people are really surprised. I think we've been kind of brought up by the media to think that our neighbours are strangers and that there's danger associated with them. And what people are really surprised about when they start meeting the neighbours through Olio is just how nice people are, how friendly they are, what great connections they have, what great stories they have. And they're either meeting people who are very similar to them, who they love, or they're meeting people who are really different to them, who they wouldn't have ordinarily met. And they're like, wow, that was really fun. That was really interesting. And especially if you're giving something away, you can know that you're having a real positive impact on someone else's life, which just feels amazing.
Definitely. And it's a nice way, if you're new to an area, to go and meet people, like you said, and kind of get around and see who's around you. And it's a nice way to kind of integrate yourself into a different community.
Totally. We've heard that a lot from people, and I sort of give away a lot of stuff, and I've met so many people who said, oh, I've just moved into the area and this is just a really good way for me to get to know my neighborhood and get to know people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it works really well for that. We have, as a result of all the food that's been shared via Olio, we have saved the equivalent of taking 17 million car miles.
Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible.
Also, we have saved almost 1 billion litres of water, and that's because food production is just an incredibly water intensive process. But what's most exciting about those stats is that they're probably 0.1% of our potential, so we are still so subscale versus where we can get to. So if you can imagine what can happen once Olio really gets to scale, we can start to make a meaningful dent in the climate crisis problem and the food poverty problem and the fat and social isolation problem. So it's kind of a win-win-win, really.
Absolutely. So have you got sort of plans going forward for the next kind of steps of Olio? Now you've got a TV ad, it's all kicking off.
So we do have massive goals and ambitions, the biggest of which is that we want 1 billion Olioers within the next 10 years, so by 2030, and that coincides with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And the reason why we have such an enormous, terrifying ambition is quite simply because the world needs us to do that. You might or might not be aware, but there's something called Project Drawdown, which is a global initiative that involves a couple of hundred of the world's leading climate change scientists. And this got missed in March due to COVID, but they released their latest data. And what they've done is they've stack ranked the top 100 solutions to the climate crisis. And in position number 1 for a 2-degree warmed world is to reduce food waste. And that comes above electric cars, above solar power, and above a plant-based diet.
Wow.
So food waste is the single biggest thing, solving food waste is the single biggest thing that humanity can do to ensure that we cap global warming at 2%. And so that's why we feel that we need to get every person on the planet sharing rather than tossing food away. And do check out our brand new goals section. So that is essentially it's like a Tinder style, so maybe continuing on the Tinder for Tins. This really is a Tinder style user interface where we give you at the beginning 30 goals, which are all helping you to lead a more planet friendly life. And you sort of right swipe on goals that you want to do, left swipe on stuff for maybe later. And they include things that start off as simple as swapping your plastic toothbrush with a bamboo one, or maybe getting some eco-friendly deodorant, all the way through to switching your bank account, switching your energy provider, moving your pension and stuff like that. And it's kind of gamified with points. And it's just a really fun, hopefully inspiring, easy way for people to just step by step lead a more planet-friendly life. Amazing. So do check that out.
Absolutely. I'm going to go check that out as well. Thank you so much, Tessa. And best of luck with the rest of Olio. It's all growing fantastically, so it's going to be great.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
My pleasure.
Huge thanks to Tessa Clarke there for the wonderful interview. And if you do want to get involved and join their amazing sharing community, head over to your app store and you can download Olio for free, and you can get involved, start giving back and start sharing with your local community as well. If you did enjoy that and you want to check out more Louise Looks episodes, they're all on my Facebook and YouTube as well. So if you go to Louise Schofield TV, you can catch them all on there. And I had so much fun filming the last series as well. It involves a sustainable makeup brand, a sustainable fashion brand, a beer company that help emerging artists, and an amazing graphic designer. So if you want to go check that out, head over to my YouTube channel and Facebook, and I'll catch you next time.